This is BYU Sports Nation, brought to you by the BYU Store, simulcast on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now from Studio B, your hosts, Jarom Jordan and Jason Shepard.
What's good? BYU Sports Nation is live. Your day-to-day play-by-play in Studio B, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Thursday, March 31st. Thanks for being here. I am Jarom Jordan, teamed up with the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Jason Shepard.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And collector of vintage leather helmets, Jason Shepard.
One does not have anything to do with the other. We're not saying that I'm so old that I wore a vintage leather helmet like our own Jack DeMooney. Everyone's America's Uncle Jack DeMooney.
America's Uncle. I love it. This is one of the best pictures I've ever seen in my life. After great conversation with Coach Shalana Stocking, my teammate Jim Thorpe, I made the decision to commit to the game. Jack DeMooney running around is going to be fun, man.
Jack DeMooney doing anything is always fun. You know, if Jack is involved, it's going to be entertaining.
So that's Jim Thorpe's helmet then. I was thinking it was Boney Fuller's helmet? Question mark? And maybe Boney Fuller's helmet is Jack DeMooney's?
Did Boney and Jack play together on the same team?
I think they did. I think they also went clubbing in Provo at whatever that dance studio was, off 5th South or 5th West. Okay, here's your show lineup. Is this BYU football's best shot at a New Year's Six game this fall, or is it going to be a little easier in the Big 12? We'll discuss. We get you ready for the Alumni game with Kevin Feterik in studio. I've got a jersey for him to sign. Again. Yeah, I've got it. Remember I have a Kevin Feterik jersey?
Super I thought you were going to wear this.
Well, I got excited about the U.S. qualifying for the World Cup. So I thought this is actually the 2014 World Cup.
So what you're saying is the World Cup means more to you than Kevin Feterik, who's coming in.
Than the Motor City Bowl. I love Kevin Feterik. I have his jersey. I bought it as a kid. It was great. And Big Game Boomer basically provides the entire content for the whip. We have like 4 lists.
The C block is brought to you by the Big Game Boomer.
Yeah, Marisk and Big Game Boomer. But yeah, we had 3 lists already, and then one came in like the last second. We're going to add that in there too.
Like, why not add a 4th?
Why not? Reminds me of my favorite city in Idaho, Firth. But first, let's fire up some headlines.
Spring football coming to a close today. Follow BYU TV Sports on Instagram for live and on-demand post-practice interviews. That should be right around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then it's all about the much-anticipated Alumni game at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Watch as Royal battles Navy on the BYU TV app tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time.
It's going to be a fun time. Let's go. Baseball begins a 3-game set at St. Mary's tonight. The Cougars have won 6 in a row versus the Gales. Listen on BYU Radio 107.9 FM and the BYU Cougars app.
Softball hosting New Mexico tonight as part of a doubleheader at Gale Miller Field. The games, they've been moved up an hour due to potential weather. So tune in to the BYU TV app at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Game 1. Game 2 will follow 30 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1.
You know, it wasn't moved up due to weather, the Alumni game. So I better bring a jacket outside, because you're at least going to be in the press box of Miller Park.
Yeah, I will be in the press box, so I will be covered. I would say a jacket and an umbrella just to be safe.
And a good attitude.
Yes.
Track and field is competing at the UVU Howe Wing Collegiate Invitational starting today.
Number 21, BYU Gymnastics competes today in the 2022 National Collegiate Women's Gymnastics Championship Regionals in Seattle, Washington. That will be at 4 Eastern Time. BYU will be competing against number 25, Washington, number 5, Alabama, and number 12, Michigan State. Today, you can check out the live stream on ESPN+. By the way, the top 4 teams will continue to the 3rd round of competition on Saturday.
Women's team hosts Oregon in tennis today, and its first home match in over a month. Men play at UC San Diego today as well.
And 2 of the greatest BYU women's soccer players to ever put on the jersey, or the kit, if you will, faced off last night in the NWSL. They are best friends. Michaela Clough of the Orlando Pride taking on Cameron Tucker and Gotham FC last night. Gotham took the win 1-0, and I love saying Gotham.
Cameron Tucker was heard after the game to say, "I am vengeance." All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
I need the blue goggles for this.
All right, let's see if I can do another good slide.
Not as good. That's all right. That was kind of a 7 and 6 slide. Let's embrace a blue goggle topic right out of the gate. Let's go. This program, BYU football, has won a national championship, a Heisman Trophy, among many other amazing accomplishments. In this, the modern era of BYU football, the New Year's Six, and within that, the playoff era, and making a New Year's Six game is the next step. So, Shep, is BYU's best chance at that this season with this schedule as an independent, or sometime in the future in the Big 12?
It's an interesting conversation to have because right now I'm not 100% sure I know the answer to it. And the reason why is because there's still so many unknowns about the Big 12.
Yes.
The one thing that you do know going in that BYU does not have at its disposal right now is the automatic berth by winning your conference championship. So you immediately go into a conference where you know if you win the conference, you're going to play in at least a New Year's Six game. So for that reason, you would say, well, of course, it's going into the Big 12. But right now, the unknowns that we don't have in terms of what this looks like for BYU is what's the division going to look like? Who's BYU going to face on a yearly basis? Who are they going to face more than another team? So you don't really know what type of competition year in and year out you're going to have. So I think as of today, right now, I'm going to lean towards this upcoming season because we know more about it. We know more about what the team is that will actually be playing this schedule. We know that the offense should be very, very good. We know that they have a quarterback that is a proven quarterback at the collegiate level and certainly has aspirations of playing in the NFL. In a year. So we know that the offense, what it can do. We know that with a healthy defense, what is possible with this team. We know what they were able to do last year with a lot of guys coming in backup roles, playing significant time. So I think we know more about it now. And then when you look at the schedule, this schedule, I think.
I thought it was schedule until just right
It
now.
is schedule.
I had no idea.
It is schedule. I think you start out South Florida. Baylor, that's a massive game in week 2.
I wish Baylor Romney could play against Baylor.
Baylor against Baylor.
Come on.
At Oregon, which is never easy to go to Autzen Stadium. But Wyoming, you have Utah State at home. The game at Notre Dame or versus Notre Dame in Vegas will be huge. Arkansas. You have enough teams on here that you're going to be given credit for playing them, but you also have games, East Carolina and Provo, Utah Tech.
Live on BYU
Live
TV.
on BYU. There's a chance to get the win. So I think right now, because I know more about what this team will be this year, I will say this year's chances are better.
I'll add and I agree with you. It's hard to know exactly what the Big 12 is going to be like right now. We don't. We don't even know if it's 8 or 9 games.
Right.
We had Bob Bowlesby in here, the commissioner of the Big 12. He said he would prefer 9. So those are all up in the air. Let me argue for the Big 12 era. Because I feel you on this year. I think BYU has a chance, should it be uber successful. You have to have 0 or 1 losses.
Right. Yes. BYU cannot go beyond 1 loss.
Yes. Here's my argument for the Big 12 era. Yes, it's going to be hard year in, year out to play that amount of P5s. Granted, okay, BYU plays 4 this year. I would argue that Boise State is P5 equivalent, right? BYU plays 5, plus Boise State 6. So you're only like 3 off there. But still, that's a significant add. In the Big 12, if you are a 2-loss team, you have a pretty good shot at a New Year's Six.
Right.
If you're a 2-loss team as an independent this year, you don't have a good shot.
You're out.
You're out. Last year, the chips fell to where BYU was actually pretty close with 2 losses. Normally, that's not the case as an independent in this situation. BYU had to have 7 P5s and just to kind of hang and went 6-1, but still wasn't in, right? Maybe if Oklahoma State stops Baylor at the goal line in the Big 12 title game, maybe BYU actually gets in. I'm not sure. But this team was banged up, against UAB. I don't think we wanted that team to roll out in a New Year's Six game and play a way better team. Just pointing that out, too. But I think in the Big 12, the margin for error is larger,
Sure.
but also it's just tougher overall.
Right.
So, and we hope that BYU is in the Big 12 for the foreseeable future, like until Jesus comes back. We hope BYU is in that league, right? So there's going to be a long amount of time to be able to amp up to that. Texas and Oklahoma lose. Not really worried about Texas. Independent, BYU took care of Texas a couple times, 2 out of 3 times, right? It's Oklahoma that would have been tough. They're going to leave. Who's the clear alpha in the league? I don't know. Oklahoma State, it'll be more Pac-12ish than we think, where, hey, if you can get through this relatively unscathed, get to the Big 12 title game and win, you're in, baby. And if you're the second team and you have 2 losses, maybe even 3, depends on the year, And if they expand the playoff to 12 teams, the New Year's Six is essentially 12 teams right now. Then you got a shot. So I'm thinking it's probably in the Big 12.
One of the things, and we actually touched on this a little bit yesterday, another thing that I think at least potentially helps BYU this year with its argument is we've seen teams in BYU's situation. I think Cincinnati is a perfect example of this. It takes a couple of years to get on people's radar, and the committee's going to say,
and the window's short.
Yes, and they're not going to put you in the first time if you're close. But if they see a pattern, eventually there's going to come a point where your resume cannot be ignored. And BYU, if they put themselves in a situation where they're in the running again, this is now would be 3 years in a row where they've been knocking on that door.
Yes.
Now, granted, I'm not sure that I anticipate the NCAA or any committee ever giving BYU the benefit of the doubt.
That's your tinfoil hat.
But what I'm saying is, I think you've now shown a proven track record that they can't ignore, and it's like, okay,
the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, if they do it this year, it would be 3 years.
Yes,
where you're knocking on that door, and I think maybe then at that point they're like, okay, they've proven themselves. And maybe you do get more of a benefit of the doubt than you would otherwise.
I love and hate that. Let me tell you why. I love it because it's true.
Yeah.
Cincinnati had to, do this 2 years in a row to get into the playoff. Boise State had to do it a couple years in a row to get, and they're undefeated. You're going to reward them. But ask Marshall and who is the other one? Tulane, who went undefeated early on in the 90s. They didn't get the shot.
Right.
But later. Other teams like Boise State and TCU from the outside got the shot. BYU is the team on the outside for one more year. Yet, I hate that if the answer truly is this year, it's like, well, what's the point in the next era of BYU football? The point is to get to a New Year's Six game. I would love for BYU to win the Big 12 at some point. That feels super hard. To be the second best team in that league, obviously, is easier than being the best team. Ask Utah. It took 11 years to actually get to the Rose Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To actually go to one of those games as a member of a Power 5 league. It takes time. Like, will BYU do it faster than 11 years? It might be a minute. But this we know. Ralph Sokolowski knows numbers. And he has crunched some numbers relative to years ending in 2. This just in, it's 2022, which brings us to our stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
BYU has averaged 7.4 wins. This is the last 50 years. In years ending in 2. Yeah. It's not going to be 7 or 8 wins this year.
In years,
it's going to be hopefully 9.
We looked. He had yesterday ending in 1.
One
was
in
like
3. 10 wins.
Like 1 and 3 were really, really good. And then
I like that next year in the Big 12.
Absolutely. But 2, 7.4.
Well, I'm trying to think. 82, 8-4, 92 was a good year, but it was like a 9-4, 8-5 kind of year. I can't remember exactly.
Again, going back 50 years.
02 was a losing record. 12 was an 8-5 year. Yeah.
So it makes sense.
This will be the best year ending in 2 in the last 50 years. I promise.
I love the optimism.
This team is too good to be in that category right there. Right here. This stat sucks. Yeah. Our question of the day. What is BYU's best chance at a New Year's Six this season or in the Big 12? Let's hope it's in the future, too. Can it be both? Let's hear from you in Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
Brother Ben Peterson on Twitter. I think next year will be easier. A Big 12 schedule is going to be tough to navigate. It is going to take some time to learn how to be competitive in the Big 12. So by next year, I think
he means
this
year. Yes, the upcoming season, yes.
The next, yep. Is it this or is it next? We have seen this from other schools when they have joined power conferences. There is a learning curve to be had.
Yes, and anybody that
5 and 7 in 2 of the first 3 years.
Anybody that does not expect a learning curve in both football and basketball
basketball is going to be steep.
Look,
football less so.
I would agree with that.
Because BYU's loaded up the last couple of years.
Yes.
To the point where I've been whining about it for years. In reality, not knowing the Power 5 invite was coming, it's like, oh, no, this is a ramp up so that when you play 9 conference games, 10 Power 5s, if you play 1 P5 out of the 3 non-con, if it's 9 games, that you were ready in some way.
There will be a learning curve. Everybody goes through this. When you take that next step up, Very, very rarely do you ever jump in immediately and are right at the top.
Yep.
You have to kind of feel your way through to figure out where you fit.
I'm trying to think, like, who just jumped in with 2 feet and were like, yeah, I'm in the deep end and I'm good. It'll take
It takes time, and that's okay.
And
it's to be expected.
And think about who BYU won't have going into the Big 12. If Jaron Hall plays well, Jaron Hall,
right?
Perhaps Puka Nacua, perhaps Blake Freeland, and other O-linemen. Defensively, you got some ballers in Peyton Wilgar, perhaps.
Yeah, there were
Keeley.
only 5 guys at Pro Day this year. There may be a significantly larger
the
number
secondary
next year.
may have a bunch. We've had these. I feel like all these cornerbacks played in the 2018 Wisconsin game.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
Like freshman.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. Let's hope it's this year, but let's also hope it's the Big 12. Yeah. I'm interested to see how quickly that learning curve dissipates. Is it hey, by the 3rd year BYU's now competing for a title? Because I don't necessarily think BYU quickly will compete for a title or even do that regularly per se. What I'm hoping is BYU's kind of in that top 3 or 4 of the 12 teams. And something we haven't talked about is we don't know that the American 3, the AAC 3 that are coming in, they aren't coming in 23 as of now. They're coming in 24. They have to get out of their league a year early to join with BYU.
Which I think
it's gonna
ultimately they will do.
I hope so, yeah. I would love for it to be a 14-team league for 2 years through 23 and 24, and then in 25, Texas Oklahoma leave, and then it's a 12-team league at that point. It's like, okay, let's go. But it's going to be rather interesting how does Houston do right away? Because in football, Houston's good. In basketball, they're really good.
Yes, they are.
UCF is not the same in football without Josh Heupel and Scott Frost before that. And again, to your point, their window was small too, where they went boom, 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 like 3 years, two years, and it was like poof, gone. Because Frost leaves, Heupel's still good, but BYU blew him out in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Well, in speaking of Houston in football, Dana Holgorsen signing a contract extension through 2027. So all of these teams that are going in, all of these new teams, they've all locked up their coaches long term.
Dana's interesting, too, because he's the rare dude that left a P5 to go to a G5.
Right.
Not knowing Houston would be invited. He was at West Virginia, right? Yeah, what's the dynamic going to be like with teams on BYU's level, if you will? Because I feel like BYU is, competes right away as at least a middle-of-the-pack Power 5 team.
I 100% agree,
at least. A TCU, a West Virginia type, right? Where it's like, yes, can BYU go 8-5 and hopefully 5-4 in league? Yes. We still don't, again, to your point, we still don't know a lot of answers to questions about how many games, what division. That will dictate a lot.
And we're going to know those answers within the next month and a half, you would think.
Yeah.
Because
this summer.
April and May is when those decisions in terms of the division are going to be made.
Bob Bowlesby told us in October they typically announce their conference schedule for the next year. So in October we hope to know.
Oh, my gosh.
Exactly who BYU's playing on what day.
Oh, my gosh.
Also, brace yourself, Cougar Nation, for this. We are used to autonomy. We have let go of quite a bit of that autonomy relative to a schedule, to TV rights, to This is part of joining the club, okay? We've walked into a place where we're not the big dog. Just brace yourself for a little bit of discomfort in that way, but also that BYU is going to cash some checks it's never cashed before. That's going to be nice. That's going to be nice.
All right, coming up, what does rotisserie chicken have to do with the BYU-Utah rivalry game?
Great. And Kevin Feterik, QB1 of the Royal team, is in the house for tonight's alumni game. We'll chat with him why he's going to beat Max Hall and the Navy team. This is BYU Sports Nation.
I know what it's like to be overlooked, to be doubted, to fly under the radar. I only had one offer coming out of high school, but I was ready for every moment, every opportunity, and every shot that I got. Now I'm playing professional basketball, aiming to be one of the best shooters on the planet. And I'm just getting started. Be ready for your moment with Rapid Reboot, the future of rapid recovery.
Welcome to a partnership where customer experience comes first. It's our focus. It's your expectation. We provide support to those that go the extra mile for all of us. Supplying products, training, and service for generations. Learn more at bradyindustries.com.
Follow the ups and downs of elite young gymnasts in an exclusive behind-the-scenes look as they twist, flip, and bounce their way to the podium. See the commitment, effort, and mindset it takes for these competitors to rule their sport on GymStars, on BYU TV, or on the free app.
BYU Sports Nation is brought to you by Maersk, enabling global trade for a growing world.
Tonight is softball. Doubleheader tonight against New Mexico. Due to some weather, the games have moved up an hour. Watch the action beginning at 6 Eastern on the BYU TV app. I will be joined on the broadcast by former Cougar Riley Jensen.
Yo, she's a baller.
Yeah,
man.
I'm excited.
That's going to be awesome. Okay, he is Jason. I'm Jarom. This is BYU Sports Nation. Don't forget to interact with the show. Get some what we think is good content. Sometimes it's just mediocre. Sometimes it's amazing. Shout out to our social team on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Let's whip it. Cougar Whip Round is presented by Maersk, your integrated container logistics company enabling global trade for a growing world.
Okay, this begins the big game boomer portion of our show. BYU is ranked 21st in Big Game Boomer's top 25 football programs of all time.
Okay.
Too high, too low, or just right?
Above Utah, so just right. I
By
think,
the way, Utah's not in this.
yeah. I think 21st is a good spot. I do. Yeah, I think
So you're
it's a
going to go
good
just
spot.
right.
Yeah, I think so. Give me my porridge.
Okay, I'm not going to argue. If you're in the top 25 of football programs all time, can you nitpick something? Probably.
Like,
but look,
like,
I'm
should
not
BYU
going to
be
complain.
18?
Yeah,
I don't
I'm not
know.
going to complain that they're in the top 25. So I'm like you. I'm just right. I'm fine with it.
Like, should BYU be above Georgia Tech? Like, they had some really good programs and teams in the past. Some of BYU's greatest teams, obviously, were mostly in the past.
Look, like I said, if you could sit and dissect
Michigan State.
but I'm going to be fine that they're in the top 25 right now.
Ahead of Wisconsin. Definitely ahead of UCLA. Hasn't done jack squat in a long time, okay? Just a long time. Austin Collie is 79th on Big Game Boomer's best receivers of all time. Is he the best BYU receiver ever?
To me, he is, yes. I think he's the guy that set the standard, and that's until somebody comes along that is better than him, he will be that guy.
Watch the stiff arm. 3, 2, 1, and stiff.
Nice.
Let me quantify how great Austin Collie is. He is the following in the 3 big categories as a receiver, despite not playing a senior year. He's 3rd in catches, 45 behind Cody Hoffman. 2nd in yards, 357, and 2nd in touchdowns, 3. You don't think if this guy played 1 year, he could have double or triple all those numbers?
Oh, I know.
Except for the 45 catches, he'd had, in like 90. He would have numbers that would be really hard to beat. Okay, he's the GOAT.
Yep.
I have Cody Hoffman number 2 on my list. I love Cody as well.
All right.
Fantastic.
More from Big Game Boomer. He asked for the worst encounters with different college fan bases. I think you can probably see where this is going.
This is so good.
Tyler Farrell, or Pharrell, tweeted out
that tattoo kook.
Yeah, tweeted out that at a Utah game, a fan threw a rotisserie chicken at him when walking to a game at Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Classic Ute move.
Then last year, Kalani said Georgia Southern fans were throwing burritos at them at the sideline. So
what are they, Jack Black?
So it begs the question, Jarom. Would you rather have somebody throw you a rotisserie chicken or a burrito at you? Which one are you?
I don't think they're throwing it to me. They're throwing it at me,
Sure,
right?
yes.
Okay, once upon a time, my big Cougar fan, Uncle Connell, was a Utah student.
Okay.
And huge BYU fan. He was at the U. I don't know why. But I went to the game with him. 98. You know who the quarterback was in that game? Kevin Feterik, who we'll chat with in a few moments. In the student section there, I'm in BYU gear with like 8 other people. I don't know what we're doing there. I would definitely not do this now. But they threw donuts at us. One of the people in our group caught it and just ate it, and I thought, is that poison? I'm like 15, yeah.
Like, if you can catch it and it doesn't land on the ground, that's free food for you.
Yes, although it was thrown with malice. Do you really want to consume that
but
energy?
You haven't answered the question. Do you want the burrito thrown at you or the chicken?
Both feel messy.
Yes.
Chicken, probably a little cleaner. The burrito, like, could split open.
Right.
Now you got beans and rice, and was ranch on it? Was it from Costa Vida or Cafe Rio? Like, what? Yeah, so probably a rotisserie chicken that was probably $5 at Costco.
Okay, this will not surprise you. Because I am so much about all that protein, I want that rotisserie chicken.
You want the chicken.
Because I'm going to catch it.
Nibbling on
I'm going to catch it, and then I'm going to eat it. So that's what's happening.
Feathers and all.
I'm going to be like a catcher behind home plate, ready to catch that bad boy and then just devour it.
All the BYU fans from like the 80s and 90s are like, a tortilla? What are you talking about? We throw a tortilla.
Nice.
It'd be a burrito.
Very nice.
BYU has 4 tight ends on Big Game Boomer's
Again?
top 20. Big Game Boomer just providing content on March 31st. It's not May quite yet. Top 100 tight ends of all time. Is BYU tight end U? It's QBU. Is it also tight end U? Number 2, Gordon Hudson. Rest in peace. Number 20, Chris Smith. Number 54, Tulamili. Number 68, he who shall not be named.
By the way, did you hear the Max Hall interview when we said if we could entice Dennis to play, if we guaranteed he could tackle you?
Yeah.
Your thoughts? Would you allow Dennis to tackle you?
No.
Oh.
I'm too shifty for Dennis.
Okay,
Those hips?
sure.
You couldn't catch me with those hips.
Is it tight end U? You can only be one U. We've had a lot of tight ends here, but we're quarterback U. That's what BYU is. It's quarterback U.
Thanks,
that doesn't mean you can't have other great positions. We could also be linebacker U. Because we have a lot of great linebackers that come out of the program.
Yeah.
But BYU is QBU.
It's QB.
Yes.
100%. Although I love a good BYU tight end because they've been amazing.
Yes.
And like there are probably some other fellas we could consider on this list, but to have 4 on this list is pretty incredible. And Tulamili, Chad Lewis, told us yesterday. I actually shot that highlight that we just showed of Dennis. I'm kind of ashamed that was used. I thought I deleted all those highlights. It's been amazing. Like the top 10 tight ends in BYU history. It's like let's stack that up against almost anybody.
Right.
Let's go.
All right. The U.S. qualified for the World Cup yesterday, which begins in November due to the scorching heat in Qatar during the summer.
I'm a Qatar pronunciator, not Qatar.
Qatar. Yes.
I say Qatar.
I say Qatar.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I'd like to go to this.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
I don't really care. We obviously don't.
Like I'm never going to go there, so
accuracy is not a staple of this program. All of you know that.
Okay, so here's the question. That's in November. Will you be more invested in football season or the World Cup by the time it starts?
Does BYU have 4+ losses at this point? If they don't, then it's. Listen. You and I know this. We can do both.
Yes.
You and I are dipping our toes in all kinds of pools here. Teams.
Yes.
Like one track month.
And November is one of the busiest months of the year.
Yes. We have the basketball begins. Because
men's and women's basketball,
because
football,
when you add
women's soccer,
you sound super naive and old. The basketball begins in November. What is it for you?
Football. Yeah, it's football. It will be football.
It's always.
And I
football.
mean like American football.
Yeah, but this is a volleyball school. And last but not least, softball plays New Mexico in a doubleheader today. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I better be aware. I'm calling.
Since you're calling the games. What is your favorite memory of BYU New Mexico?
There's so many. This is probably a little recency bias, but I was able to call a grand slam hit by Jaron Hall at New Mexico.
That's pretty cool.
So that's the memory that I'll stand. There's a lot of, because of there's so much history between these two programs in all these different sports. I mean, you have the hair pulling incident. It's a lot of that stuff. And I think a lot of people may go that direction. But for me, being able to call a Jaron Hall grand slam in Albuquerque in a blowout victory for the Cougar baseball team over the Lobos.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. It's got to be Jimmer 52 in the semifinals of the 2011 Mountain West Conference Tournament. What a game. Not only does he set the single game scoring record, he sets the career record on the same play. Like, what in the world? You could not dial that up. Like, script writers could not make that up. That was amazing. He scored 52 with one freaking free throw, too. Unbelievable. Just,
it was so good.
It was amazing. It was fun. It was fun to sit and watch that in person and just, it was amazing.
Wasn't Spencer, he was, one of you were gone for the two Jimmer years, right?
Spencer was.
Oh, yeah.
This just in. I've been here the whole time.
Okay. So, well, yeah, because So, I can't.
I was sidelining the games his senior year.
Look, you go out for 2 years. You're out there serving the Lord. But imagine those.
No. He was working in Grand Junction. He had graduated.
But there's been people like if you're a Jazz fan, they're 2 years where the two finals.
We missed 97
and
98.
And you missed the two Jimmer years.
Tough.
Certainly his senior season.
I missed 2 losing BYU football seasons. Hashtag blessed. I do want to mention this one. In 1998, BYU beat New Mexico at the Pit. They had this long winning streak. Coach Cleveland's first year, they were ranked 16th. It was a 1-win team the year before. They went into the Pit and won against a ranked Lobos team, and it was unbelievable. Not only did they win by 21. Wearing the black unis, that's one of the best games ever. Also, shout out to Albuquerque, who we know consumes the show. One of our most consumed demos outside of Salt Lake. Shout out to the homies in Albuquerque. We love Breaking Bad as well.
By the way, if I would have thought about the comment I just made about Spencer being on it, Spencer is much older than that. So, there's no chance he was on his mission in 2010.
And Spencer's older than I am. So, yeah, I'm the young buck here.
Yeah. All right.
On your birthday.
If I had thought about that, there was no chance that was accurate. All right, coming up.
Sign this NDA.
Kevin Feterik will preview tonight's alumni game. One of the 2 quarterbacks in this bad boy.
Let's go. And we draft our fantasy roster for tonight's game. We'll tell you the point system, little snake draft, who's going number 1. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you. Call us today.
Introducing the all-new 2021 Nissan Rogue. A fuel-efficient car that's compact enough to park just about anywhere, but has enough cargo space to fit your hobbies, your kids' hobbies, and your dog's hobbies. It's equipped with the latest safety and efficiency technology for a smooth and quiet ride wherever you want to go, whether it's through the neighborhood or across the country. Are you ready to Rogue? It's at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown.
Turn TV time into together time with the BYUTV app. Watch all your favorite shows when, where, and how you want.
This isn't like a practical joke, is it?
No, sir. Immerse yourself in stories with all the feels. Go on uninterrupted journeys of discovery and see families coming together while watching with your own. See new and original content, all for free on the BYUTV app.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
On the latest Deep Blue podcast, Jarom Jordan talks with David Nixon in part 1 about almost going to Texas A&M. Also, the 2006 Classic versus Utah and working with Roger Staubach. Listen to it on the BYU Radio app or where podcasts are found.
Some fun stories in that one. Part 2 coming up in 2 weeks as well. No show this weekend with General Conference. We'll be back in a week. Okay, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation live from Studio B. We got the BYU football alumni game tonight on the BYUTV app, 8:30 Eastern Time. Royal versus Navy, but we're throwing that out the window. We want to have a fantasy draft tonight where we are going to have a snake draft, and the draft's not tonight, it's right now. 5 players each. You can pick one quarterback. Yep. A TD pass is 1 point. A pick is 1 point. Is that minus 1 point? Have we said that? And then a TD received or rushed is 2 points. Okay. You get the first pick because it's your birthday.
Okay. All right. I'll take it. I'll take it.
And as co-host, I will go. So who do you pick first?
I am going to take one Maxwell Hall. Max Hall will be my number 1 overall pick in the BYU Alumni Game Fantasy Draft.
Do we have to say every time, like very formally, like the second pick in the BYU football?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think so.
Okay, since you already picked a quarterback.
Yes.
And I'm going to pick Kevin. I'm going to save it to pick 5 because I want to get the best other positional players
I wonder how
Does that make
Kevin's going to
sense?
feel that you're going to take him last.
Kevin knows I like him. He doesn't know me. I'm picking him 5th because I know he's going to be there. You can't take another quarterback.
There's 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, so I'm going to go right now and go get Curtis Brown. I'm getting Curtis Brown, who was the all-time leading rusher until Harvey Unga took that from him. I like Curtis in this one.
Okay, so you're going to go traditional and go first
Yes.
pick running back.
Yes. Next one as I look at the roster.
Yes, because you get back-to-back with the Snake.
Who is going to work super hard, almost too hard in this game? Mitch Matthews. Mitch Matthews is going to go super hard. He's still fit. He's going to catch a couple of touchdown passes. I love Mitch as we see him in this one. Tonight, he could be.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I am going to select my first running back, and the guy I'm going to go to, it's a very easy decision for me. I'm going to go with one Harvey Unga.
Ooh, that's a big pick going off the board.
Harvey Unga, I expect he could have a big night tonight. He really could.
I think Harvey is going to just play it cool.
He always plays it cool, and he's going to rack up the stats.
He's going to defer, and he's not going to do as much as you're hoping for.
Okay,
I love Harv,
we'll
but
see.
I think he's going to defer.
I think Harvey, he's going in
like,
maybe
I'm
with that
already on
mindset,
step.
but he's like, when he gets there, it's like, oh, yeah, I remember. I'm going to show all these guys in the running back room that maybe doubted how good I was. I want to show them right now.
This is the moment.
Okay, all right, so back-to-back.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, I'm actually excited about this pick because I think this could be one of those ones that really pays off for me.
You have a lot of options here. Who you
Yes, I'm going to go with one, and I'm going to go wide receiver here.
Okay.
Aaron Roderick.
Oh.
Here's why.
I would not have guessed Aaron going this high.
Not just because he's a good receiver.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a conscious effort to get the current staff who are former players involved.
Because they'll hook you up with swag maybe a few.
And look, you want to help out the offensive coordinator a little bit, you know. You gotta give him his due. He's out there calling plays during the year. Make him feel good, get a couple passes away. So I'm gonna go with Aaron Roderick as my number 1 wide receiver tonight.
It's a terrible pick, let me tell you what.
Wow.
Because Aaron and Harvey are on the staff. They're not gonna push it. They're going to just like let the other guys – they're already around BYU. They don't need this moment. Other guys are like, I am back, baby.
But I think
I'm scoring touchdowns.
I think they will be blessed for being on the staff. Therefore, they will be given some opportunities to be able to shine.
I'm not saying they can't. I just think they'll play it cool.
Okay, that's fine.
Because this is who wants to actually work hard tonight situation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, fine.
Okay, fine.
Fine.
My
I'm mocking of picks. Okay.
I won't. They were terrible. My next pick. I'm taking Cody Hoppin. I think Cody Hoppin is gonna keep it cool, but he's too good not to have a touchdown catch tonight. Okay. And then my next pick. I need a tight end. Okay. And obviously there's 2 names that stick out here. It's just which one I go with. One of them's gonna be mad at me. Sorry, Chad. I'm going to Tulamili.
Oh wow.
The Tulamili is back, baby.
Chad was on this show yesterday talking to you, and you're going to Tulamili.
Yes, sorry, Chad. You know, Tuli's good. I need to take a Tuli.
Okay, well, I'm going to also take a tight end, and I would have taken Chad Lewis first anyway. So I'm very, very happy.
Declaring intention
that I get to pick Chad Lewis with my 4th pick in tonight's BYU football alumni.
It's a great pick.
Yes,
it really is.
And I am hoping.
Is Chad going to?
I'm hoping a hurdle. I'm hoping he said He said earlier yesterday. He's like, yeah, maybe working a hurdle. Look at this.
Oh, Arkansas State 96.
I'm telling you.
Let's go.
I am feeling good about Chad Lewis in this game.
Play that play one more time. Roll it back. Here it is. Okay. I've never noticed this before. Watch this. Okay. Not only does he hurdle the dude once, watch what happens with the dude after. Okay. The dude gets hurdled. He gets up. Tries to tackle the dude again, like comes back. Nope, it was a different dude. He like jumped over another guy on the ground. I've never noticed there was like a second mini hurdle there.
Mason Wake is like, it's
What?
kind of good.
Okay, you have another pick.
All right,
who you got?
This one goes back to my rationale.
You gonna pick a kicker? Or?
I'm not gonna pick a kicker.
Why are there kickers tonight? Are they actually gonna kick field goals?
I am actually curious to see how they handle the kicking duties.
Like Johnny Linehan's
But
here.
no, I'm
What's
not.
he going to do?
Sorry, Johnny, I'm not picking a kicker.
They're going to punt? There's no way. They're going for it on fourth.
My rationale for going with the former coaches stays put here. Plus, it's also to kind of brown-nose the head coach.
I was going to say, I feel like you're brown-nosing the coaching staff right now.
I'm taking Kalani Sitake. Because if you don't believe that the head coach of the football program is not going to be given some opportunities, you're fooling yourself.
I don't think he wants to be a charity case here.
I'm not saying he is a charity
no,
case.
I'm not
just
either.
saying he's
But
going to
if
be
they
able to
throw him
showcase
one-
his skills with a Z. He's going to have the opportunity.
Presented by fans. Nice. Okay. It's now my final pick. I got to have my quarterback, Kevin Feterik. Okay. I'm excited about Kevin.
He doesn't like you. He doesn't like you, Kevin. He picked you last.
Okay, story time. I've got it. Oh, look at this. Crazy.
Yeah, when are you gonna...
I've worn this before on the show, but I have a Kevin Feterik jersey here. I've owned this since high school. Okay. Because Kevin was my guy.
What do you think about the tan?
Love it. This is actually from the Motor City Bowl. I think this was the backup jersey he had, because in the Motor City Bowl he was on the ground a lot. He was very frustrated. It was a frustrating game for Kevin and the Cougs. So I'm pretty sure that it wasn't washed to that point. But yeah, I got some tan. I got old school logo here, Mountain West, and he signed it.
Then the signature.
He signed it. So tonight I think I need to get him either to write exactly over it again, or just sign it twice. This is 24 years in the making, if my math is right, and it is. I didn't take a math class at BYU, just FYI.
Again, math live on the air
Kevin
is very,
Feterik's my guy, dude.
All right.
Kevin Feterik's my guy. Let's go.
So we have two more other things we got to get to really quick.
Yes.
Who wins the game?
Royal.
Okay, I also have Royal.
I don't really care who wins. It's going to be fun, but
I think
Royal wins.
I think it's a tortoise and the hare type situation. I think Navy, with more of the younger players, comes out early, but then the slow and steady pace of the Royal,
dude,
they win.
Max Hall is going to light us up later because we picked against him. And then who's the MVP?
Look, again, I'm going with Kalani Sitake. I'm going to take Kalani Sitake as the MVP.
Okay. Yeah, Kalani's a great pick, because if he gets a couple touchdowns here, again, this is how hard do you want to play? All right. Oh, we have video of Kalani getting ready for this.
Ooh,
what is this?
Look at that.
Oh, the old 34 is being donned.
He's getting ready. He knows he's going to be getting some touches tonight.
Listen, now if this was in, like 7 months, he'd have that new dad strength. But, he's got that kind of So he's got the jersey. I love that they made these custom jerseys for the guys.
That is really, really cool.
Already cashing them Big 12 checks. That's awesome. I've got Kevin Feterik as my MVP. My guy, Kevin Feterik's going to lead Royal to victory tonight. Okay, coming up.
All right.
What we got?
Prop picks for tonight's alumni game.
There's some weird ones.
Will we see a Chad Lewis hurdle? We just
How many hamstrings?
Will we actually see one?
How many hamstrings will be pulled? Plus, my MVP pick will join us as he gets ready for the game. One Kevin Feterik. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
Hi, Spencer Linton here, letting you know when your company joins the BYU team as a corporate partner, your brand can be featured in sports programming on BYU TV and BYU Radio. In addition to all of the great games, you can be part of the BYU coaches shows, place your message in Countdown to Kickoff, basketball pre- and post-game shows, and each weekday on BYU Sports Nation. We invite your team to join ours and become a corporate sponsor of BYU Athletics. For details, email sponsorship@byu.edu today.
next time on Relative Race.
Look at us reading maps.
Team Green fights to stay in the competition.
Who has a green light right now?
This is ridiculous.
3 teams meet important siblings.
Oh my gosh!
Immediately, I just feel like I'm home.
And Layton attends a birthday party she'll never forget.
Happy birthday.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Tune in tonight for the BYU football alumni game as former BYU quarterbacks Max Hall and Kevin Feterik lead their teams one more time at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Watch the game tonight, 8:30 Eastern on the BYUTV app. Dave McCann, Blaine Fowler on the call, Spencer Linton and Jarom Jordan on the sidelines.
Kevin Feterik now joins us on the phone. Kevin, welcome to the program, and great to have you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be in town. I haven't been here in a couple of years, and definitely looking forward to this evening.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. It's been pumped up quite a bit. We're going to televise it tonight, which should be a lot of fun. It'll be the greatest one-hand touch broadcast on BYU TV in history.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Last thing I want to do is be running and pull a hamstring or anything out there. So.
Yeah, it's all we ask, Kevin, is you do a lot of stretching before. It's really what we ask. And look, and you said that you haven't been back in a while, so we actually, before we even get into the game, we kind of want to catch up. What are you doing these days? Where do you live? All that good stuff. What's the family situation?
Sure. So I'm in Huntington Beach, California. I just had a son. He's 10 months old. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. He's a little sick. But, man, life is good these days. I'm in the hospitality business, so we do a lot of window treatments for Holiday Inns and the Marriotts. So, yeah, keeping busy.
Very nice.
That's awesome, man. I was showing everyone the Kevin Feterik jersey I got in high school. My high school basketball coach is Robbie Wasco's brother, John. So actually, it was an auction, and I bought it. So I've still got it from the Motor City Bowl, although it's pretty clean. So maybe I'll have to have you re-sign that. It's a signed one tonight. Would that be all right?
Yeah, no problem. I'd gladly sign that.
That'd be awesome.
That jersey for you.
And then we're holding the jersey you'll use tonight, the Royal jersey. So we're going to give it all the good karma we've got. They actually, on the Royals, gave it the, as we saw yesterday with Chad Lewis, kind of the old block Y with the black outline,
shadowing,
the trim. It's pretty cool, man.
Oh, really? Oh, great. Yeah, no, I have not seen the uniforms yet. We have a whole deal going starting at 12 o'clock, meeting with the big boss, Kalani, and then we're going to actually have a practice, believe it or not, and then and then watch the real players practice for an hour and a half, and then go over to Lavelle Edwards Stadium and hopefully put on a good show.
What was your reaction when they brought this up to you?
I was like, oh my gosh, I better start training quickly. I haven't thrown a football in about a year or so. I'm just trying to go out there. Obviously, I got a very good team behind me. They'll get open. I just got to hopefully hit them, and they'll make the plays.
Do you feel obligated to get anybody the ball tonight specifically?
Well, obviously the old school guy. I definitely want to get Chad and Atula a couple passes for sure. And then, I talked to Margin Hooks. I guess he's not coming in town. I was looking forward to throwing him a couple passes. And then Aaron, and then, Kalani, hopefully we can run a draw and no one tackles him and get a touchdown.
That's what we were thinking. At some point, This is BYU. A draw is going to happen tonight for sure. Right?
Also, Kevin, we did a BYU alumni fantasy football draft, and you literally mentioned just everybody that I picked. You mentioned Chad Lewis. You mentioned Roderick. You mentioned Kalani. I'm really going to need you to come through for me tonight, Kevin.
No problem. They need to come through for me. I'm just going to get them the ball, and hopefully they can make it happen.
Is there anybody that's going to be needy that you're going to ignore?
Oh, geez.
Like if Rob Morris wants to play on offense, do you have to get him the ball?
Exactly. He's probably in my ear trying to get him a pass or something like that. But, yeah, I got to talk to Rob. Hopefully he stays on defense.
Are you hoping Chris Hale just shows up in the end zone randomly tonight?
Oh, Yeah, one of the greatest passes I'll never forget. Actually, absolutely hitting hit him on that play against Washington, 1999. That was it. But yeah, if he's playing, that's fantastic. We need some speed. So that would be good.
I don't think he is, but it'd be fun if he just showed up for you right at the end there.
Absolutely.
That'd
be fantastic.
What is the memory that you hold on to? Is there a specific play or a specific game that for you is the one you always go back to?
Probably that those first two games that we got to be, on the spotlight on ESPN Thursday Night Football back-to-back my senior year, the first, I guess, in the Mountain West Conference, first couple games of the Mountain West Conference, and we played Washington on Thursday, and then we played Colorado State on Thursday. And those are, everyone's watching games on Thursday night, so and fortunately we did well. We won big and kind of got everything rolling that year. It's great.
That was an underrated year. I think people forget, and I wanted to ask you about this because you're 8-1. The only loss to Virginia in a shootout. Thomas Jones was incredible in that game. Young freshman Luke Staley was doing things. It was awesome. You're 8-1. You're ranked 15th going into Wyoming, and then unfortunately it was a loss to Wyoming, Utah, and Marshall. That team was pretty good, and I don't think we talk about 99 enough. Maybe.
No, you're right. Yeah, exactly. We went to Wyoming and. We had everything against us there. The flight flying in was delayed. When we got in town, we had to stay at a truck stop. We couldn't even get a regular hotel. We were literally in a truck stop because there was a big trial going on in the town, and all the hotels were taken. And so we're at a truck stop trying to get ready to play, a pretty big game where I think we were ranked 11th or 12th in the nation there. And yeah, they got us good. And then obviously the next week we lost to Utah and then the bowl game. So yeah, it was kind of a bitter ending to my senior season. But again, I mean, overall it was a fantastic year.
Well, Kevin, we look forward to tonight. It should be a lot of fun. Should be serious at times, but mostly just easy. Who knows who takes it too seriously? But it's going to be fun to watch tonight, and we'll make sure we get you this jersey.
Okay, no problem. I'd gladly sign it for you.
Okay, Kevin Feterik joining us on BYU Sports Nation. Fun to catch up with Kevin.
It's fun to catch, and it's for people that were around and following BYU football at that time, it's fun to be able to remember these games and talk with these players. It's
and you
fun.
Forget he's top 10 in a bunch of categories.
Yeah,
he's
phenomenal.
He's top 10 in BYU history, which is pretty. That's why I got the jersey.
All right, coming up, we make our prop picks for tonight's alumni game.
And a rise and shout out to the Red, White, and Blue. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Turn TV time into together time with the BYUTV app. Watch all your favorite shows when, where, and how you want.
This isn't like a practical joke, is it?
No, sir.
Immerse yourself in stories with all the feels. Go on uninterrupted journeys of discovery and see families coming together while watching with your own. See new and original content, all for free on the BYUTV app. For uplifting messages of hope and music, watch General Conference.
We can intentionally shine our light so others may see.
Selfless service truly helps us to hear him and come unto the Savior.
I pray constantly that you will feel the Lord's unfailing love for you.
Tune in on BYU TV and the free app or listen on BYU Radio starting at 10 a.m. Mountain.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
Many a pylon will be pushed over. No pylon camps tonight, though. Okay, let's go over some prop picks for tonight in the Alumni game. First team to score, Royal or Navy?
I say Navy. I said they're going to come out strong, but it's going to be Royal. That the slow and steady pace will win the game.
I'll go Royal. First player to score.
First player to score is going to be, I'll say it, Tulamili.
Okay. I got Curtis Brown. Out of the backfield.
Okay.
Wheel route.
Okay.
Over under hamstrings pulled, 3.5.
Oh, over. Wherever you were going to set that number, I was always going to take the over.
The original number our producer put in was 10.5.
Oh, boy. Again, I would have taken the over.
10.5. Holy shnikes, you're going to lose money. I'll go under. I'll go 3.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Over under total interceptions.
I'm going to say under.
2.5 is the line.
Yeah, I will say under.
I'll go over.
It's going to be clean.
I'll go over.
I think these quarterbacks are going to be dialed in.
Yeah. Okay. With all the reps they've been getting. They're practicing, we learned from Kevin Feterik.
Yeah, they're going to actually get in practice.
Will Chad Lewis hurdle anybody?
Yes, with a capital Y. There's no question he will try to leap someone.
I think he'll manufacture a hurdle with someone from the other team. Because if he legit tries to hurdle somebody, that's a hammy. Waiting
I
to
think
happen.
you're selling Chad Lewis short.
He's not short. He's 6'6".
Just saying.
Will Johnny Linehan fake a punt? Why is Johnny in this game?
I'm going to say yes because I hope it happens. We need to relive that.
Are they punting? We need to? We need to destroy that.
We need to be able to have something that we can look back on that's humorous with it.
That's why we did the documentary. The mockumentary.
Which was great.
It was really fun. I say no. What size jersey will Max Hall have? We were hoping for a medium, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
I'm going to say he'll have a large. Go large. Yeah.
Large is accurate. Now the shirt underneath.
What are you doing?
That's a medium.
What are you doing here? You know. Yes, I know. Which means he's big enough and strong enough to beat you up by making fun of him right now.
Beat me up. We're homies.
Okay.
Just because I don't like Dennis. Score. Who scores first, Satake or A-Rod?
I'm going to say Satake. He's got my MVP vote.
I'll say A-Rod, just to be contrarian. Our elite voice of the day on what's BYU's best chance at a New Year's Six this season or in the Big 12 is presented by Sundance Mountain Resort. Jeremiah Hale on Twitter. The Big 12 Conference auto bid makes it mathematically easier. However, this year returning a lot of production, starting ranked, hopefully, only having 5 Power 5 opponents, only. No extra championship game required. Good point. Being familiar with most of the opponents could be a recipe for an easier path.
See, that's what we discussed. I thought it was an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. Shout out to the US of A for getting back to the World Cup.
USA.
Let's go. Our thanks to today's guest, Kevin Feterik.
And the conversation continues 24/7 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always use hashtag BYUSN.
Jason, I'm Jarom. Shout out to Raider Demooney. See you tonight for a doubleheader of softball, 6 Eastern on the BYUTV app. BYU football alumni game, 8:30 Eastern on the app as well. Go Cougs!